Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chris's Movie Reviews. Today, I watched Parasite, and also we have a very special episode today because you're not only going to hear from me about Parasite, but you're also going to hear from one of my very good friends, Max Kutch. So let's get him on the line. So, welcome, Max Kutch. You have your very own movie blog as well. It's And Another Thing, which you can find at maxkutch.wordpress.com. I'll put that graphic on the screen. And how you doing, Max?
Good. Trying to take advantage of the quarantine to watch as many movies as possible. So it's still not great, but it's nice to catch up.
Do what you can, absolutely. So I know you're a big fan of it, and I just watched it earlier today. Actually, the first time I watched it, I'm pretty sure I told you, back when the Oscars were a thing and we could actually go outside of our houses.
Four times, yeah.
I watched the before times, yeah. I watched Parasite literally right before the Oscars started. I drove to your apartment having
Yes,
just seen Parasite.
yes. You came to my Oscars party.
I came to your Oscars party and literally I was sitting in the Pride Den at Hofstra watching it on my laptop. Um,
Didn't that make you really want to root for it going into the Oscars?
oh my God, when it was, oh my God. And even then, I just watched it like 2 hours ago, and it's just so wonderful. I think it's definitely worth noting that, it is the first foreign film that won the Oscar for Best Picture. Um, I think it's definitely well deserving of it. But I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the actors and the actresses not getting the nominations.
Yeah. Well, just briefly talk about my thoughts on Parasite. Obviously, it's amazing. I actually had the privilege to see it in a theater, because I was visiting my girlfriend's family out in California, and in La Jolla they had like a very hoity-toity movie theater that was showing foreign films. So we got to go see it. It was us and a bunch of, not a bunch, like four old white people who like were not like they were not vibing with it. Um,
Yep, I say no more.
and Julie and I were like, yes, yes,
Hmm.
amazing. One of the really cool things about it being on Hulu now is that it's available to a wide audience, which is just awesome. I mean, before it was on Hulu, how many people just scrolling around stuff would ever have seen Parasite, but now it's being prominently
Well,
featured, and that's great.
yeah, and the one thing that I remember, especially when it came out and when it won the Oscar, was everyone was so mad that it wasn't in English and you had to read the subtitles. And part of you just wants to laugh at all these people and like, dude, just read.
Yeah,
And it is a phenomenal film, and it's just so, just read, people.
yeah, that's great advice, like life advice and movie advice. Literacy is important.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I mean, I only did the last 10 years because I was kind of rushing on research for this, but is the only movie out of the last 10 Best Picture winners that did not have a single acting nominee. Um,
Really?
yeah, every single one back to 2010. I assume way more because that's typically the norm, right? Because typically, even if acting isn't the centerpiece of the film, it's, one would say, essential
I I,
to,
I mean, uh, in most films, you
yeah. I mean, like, yeah. So looking at that, I was like, that's a little jarring. Like, well, maybe they're like not really acclaimed actors, and it's more of like okay, maybe it's more about the ideas. It's not really about them. But you look at someone like Song Kang Ho, who plays the father of the poor. You know who he is. You can just look him up. But he is an acclaimed actor. He's been working with Bong Joon-ho since 2003. They've done 4 movies together: Memories of Murder, The Host, Snowpiercer, and Parasite. And like they work together all the time. He's in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and it's someone like that, puts together a great performance. And like, you know, much love to all the other acting nominees. But you're telling me that, I don't know, Adam Driver like blew you out of the water so much more while he was screaming at Scarlett Johansson. I mean, like, but anyway, yeah, like, and also in 2019, sorry to harp on this, but like Aquafina, who won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Comedy, or Musical, was not nominated. Also, in a great turn in the farewell. So it's just like, I don't know. I think that a lot of minorities get caught in this sort of trap of like, oh, we got this. Well, it'd be really cool if we had that. And we were like, you already got one thing.
And the Oscars have not shied away from controversy. We've had Oscars so white. We had the whole the hosting thing, but yeah, I will say I think looking it's looking promising with how Parasite, this foreign film,
Oh,
won
absolutely.
Best Picture. Now, obviously, the actors and actresses should have been included, but it's a step kind of in the right direction. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the imagery in this film.
Mm.
I am a sucker for symbolism and for a physical representation of a non-physical thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this movie absolutely nails it, especially when we get to um, after they've been hiding out in the Park's house, and it's that rainy, stormy night, and the amount of stairs that they go down. I just it 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 really shows just how low down they are, and even then you have the basement, um the whole basement dwelling, and that shows that they're under that, um and the Parks' house is up on a hill, and just those little things I think really sealed the deal for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, one of the reasons for that is that Bong Joon-ho storyboards his own movies, which is really cool. He has very detailed storyboards when he goes into a movie. Every director's method is different. But, Bong is primarily, a writer director, and
Mhm.
he, in the theater we went to, they had after credits there was a little interview, a filmed interview with him, and he was like, yeah, before I make any movie, um, I like to sit and I sketch and I sketch and I sketched for months until I have a storyboard book, and they actually sell it. You can buy the Parasite storyboard
Really?
book. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't have it, but like you can, you can buy it. And I think you see that like they built that whole set from scratch, for example. That's really
Mhm.
cool. Or like in the flood scene, they actually built that set using real materials from like houses around that area, but they built it in a water tank so they could flood it, which is great. It's stuff like that. He is such an eye for detail, which is really cool. I'm really sort of intrigued. What's your favorite part of Parasite?
My favorite part? Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you mine.
Please do, because I need to think.
I think there's a pivotal moment in Parasite where everyone watching it, I know, especially who watched after the Oscars, I know what you're thinking about 20 minutes in. You're like, what is going on here? Like everyone says this is great and like
When
it's fine, but there's a montage involving a peach. Um, and let me tell you, that little montage when you see how they're sabotaging each of the domestic workers, um, I that montage is unbelievable, and it's when you sort of realize that's when the movie turns from like, okay, like this is a drama about this one family, but like nothing's kind of going on. And then in this little, 6-minute chunk of the movie, the
Mhm.
whole movie turns on its head. And from then on, it's breakneck pace.
Yeah.
I think that's so crucial. And I'm just trying to find the person, Yinmo Jung, who edits the movie. I just want to give him a shout out. Unbelievable. The editing, the whole movie is great, but that one little, just the cutting together of the conversations with, Mr. Kim, with Ms. Park in the car, sprinkling the peaches, it's editing really matters. And I think that's a stretch that seen it 5, 6 times. I've seen it so many times. It still makes me like goosebumps.
Yeah. And I remember watching it for the first time right before that Oscars party, and
You're like, this isn't that
I was
good.
just like, I'm like, all right. I mean, it's okay. I don't know why everyone's going. And then like you just get that holy crap moment of, oh, and then as you said, it just builds and builds and builds and builds. I still don't have a favorite moment. I
Sad.
no. All right. I have a favorite transition.
Oh, that'll work. You
No,
nerd.
no, I am a nerd for it. No, it's the transition after after their apartment has flooded and the father is pushing them on a piece of wood or whatever, and they're going along that way, and then the film transitions up,
Hmm.
and it's so perfectly done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were some really, really well edited movies this year. You know, and yeah, no one ever talks about film editing in the Oscars because it's like not one of the sexy awards. But like between that, God, 1917 is so brilliantly edited.
Yes, it is.
Um, you know, Parasite, I think the editing is incredible. Little Women, to cut together two timelines like that in a way that is cohesive. It was a, God, this is the most film nerd statement. It was a great year for film editing at the Oscars. Like, excuse me while I smoke
I'll
my
take
pipe
phrases you
in
never
my.
thought you'd hear for 400, Alex. It's interesting because, as you said, it's not a sexy category, but it can give so much. That sound editing, sound mixing, there are so much, all these little things culminate in the movie where it's not just acting, it's not just a screenplay. It's those little things that really bring the movie to life.
Oh, I would just say that I hope that the Parasite, if a Parasite does one thing, it gets people more into Korean film because I have a lot of favorites. I love Korean movies. I've gotten more into them in recent years. Park Chan Wook does amazing work. He has one or two English language movies. He made one in 2013 called Stoker, starring Nicole Kidman, Mia Wasikowska, and Matthew Good. And it's just the weirdest thing ever. Would never be made by a Western filmmaker. I don't I don't think it's amazing, but like just to see something different. You know, The Handmaiden, which you can find on Amazon Prime. Asian movies have different rules for, you know, every country has different sort of film school for how they shoot, and you know, I think in Korean movies they're unafraid to saturate stuff a little bit more, and you get these really verdant greens, these deep reds, and you know, makeup is such a big part of the story, and it's brilliant. And like, you will have to read, but The Handmaiden is so good and so worth it. And also, of course, my favorite movie to come out of South Korea, um, is Train to Busan, which is also on Netflix. It's a zombie movie, and it's just, I should do this again. I love talking about movies, and
We absolutely should, and I enjoy it as well. Thank you very much for chatting with me. Everyone, make sure you go check out and another thing by visiting maxkutch.wordpress.com, and go watch all those movies that Max recommended. There's a lot.
oh, I'm also on Letterboxd.
Also on Letterboxd.
Yes, which it's like my new obsession. I'm under Max Kutch on Letterboxd. My actual name is allegedly underscore Max, but if you search my name, you'll find me. And that's where I drop reviews pretty much every couple days. You know, they're great. If you don't know Letterboxd, obviously it's the social media for movies, and it's just a blast.
Thank you once again for joining me, and you know, we should we'll probably connect soon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
All right.
Peace
And
out. Stay
yeah,
safe.
peace. Yep, you too. Bye bye. That was a very interesting discussion. I'm going to have a great time editing it because we talked for a long time outside of what I am going to end up showing you guys. But I have to give Parasite a review, and I don't even have to hesitate on this one. Parasite gets 5 stars. It is a wonderful movie. It is brilliantly done. Bong Joon-ho is genius. The entire ensemble is fantastic. The very premise of it is wonderful. Um, and here's the thing, and I'm gonna make the blog post about this. If you're gonna complain about it being in Korean, or really any film being in a different language, there are these little things on the bottom, and they're called subtitles. And what you do is, with subtitles is you read them. So just read the subtitles, people. But yeah, so Parasite, 5 stars, beautiful film. I now have quite a few more movies to watch. Thanks again to Max. I'm going to put his blog information down in the description. And I hope you all continue to stay safe, be well, and keep watching movies. Want more? Check out chrismoviereviews.com. Follow me on Instagram and Reddit. Sign up for the newsletter and submit a user comment for me to read. And don't forget to like and subscribe.